Alright, so I just wanted to start this video off by saying that, if you guys haven't caught on yet, I'm doing these videos unedited. Yeah, I might take a couple of takes or whatever, but ultimately I'm doing these videos unedited. Just like today's video, I've deleted it twice now for time or whatever, but I'm not going to edit them. I'm just going to try to talk faster. I'm also not going to say anything in any guaranteed chronological order. Today what I'm going to talk about happens to coincide. It's the right time. But when I do these videos of sharing, I'm just going to talk about whatever's on my head. So anyway, that's out of the way. Let's get into, I'm going to start talking about my next trauma. So my next trauma, the period of time immediately after that first initial beating was a series of little events that added up to big things, and it progressed from there. After the initial trauma, I guess that my mom had taken that as a sign that it was okay to beat on kids and stuff, and her favorite thing to do was psychological or emotional abuse. I don't know what it would be called, but she'd call me names and yell and scream at me and tell me I was stupid and tell me I was ugly and whatever, call me names. But she also developed a habit of enjoying burning me. She usually would use cigarettes because that's what was handy. She was a multiple pack a day smoker. And it would just be random, and it would be on purpose. I could be just walking through the house and she'd throw a cigarette butt at me, or we'd be walking down the street and she'd just reach down and burn me in the side of my face or on my ear or wherever she could touch me with the cherry or the hot part of a cigarette. One story that goes along with the burning was one time my mom was ironing clothes in our kitchen, and I must have gotten too close or something and put my hand up on the ironing board, or I don't know. All I remember is that she decided to burn me with the iron, and that was the first time that I was given like a big blister. I got it on my left pinky, and I remember playing with it and feeling how squishy it was, and kind of in a weird way enjoying the burning feeling that it would get for just playing with it. When it eventually popped, I also remember being very fascinated by the liquid that came out. It was clear and slimy and smooth, and I don't know, I just remember being very fascinated, and then being fascinated by the leftover skin that was there, that was left behind, that is now empty. So it was like loose, weird skin. I played with that for a long time until it finally tore off. During this time, one of my older sisters also came to live with us, and she brought with her her boyfriend, who brought with him two older boys, who added to my torment by being physically abusive and physically bullying towards me, but also name calling and what I consider normal for kids. But they also would go around and tell all the neighborhood kids bullshit stories about me. I don't know anything specific, But just when they moved in, then I started becoming the brunt of everybody's jokes. Like, I used to be able to hang out with the kids and go to their houses for some safety and stuff like that. But once the two boys that of my sister's boyfriend moved in, then all that changed, and I didn't have anywhere to go. Anytime I was outside, I was being teased. Anytime I was in the house, I was being teased or physically abused. And sometimes, even when I was outside, I was being physically abused. So I started spending a lot of time underneath my house and sneaking out of my bedroom window and crawling to the crawl space to get underneath my house that was outside. This time was also, one of the first times that I witnessed like major domestic violence against my mom. One time that's really prevalent in my memories. Again, it was daytime. This was a time that there was no cell phones or anything like that. So from what I could see in my area of the world, or my view of the world as being 5 or younger, there was no provocation from my mom for this beating. But I remember it was, daytime, and I remember I was sitting in my front room watching my mom, either watching my mom cook, and I was sitting in a big orange reclining chair, and I remember the guy who beat me with the dog chain, he comes running into the house, and with, like I said, no provocation, at least none that I could see, starts beating the crap out of my mom and punching her in the stomach and slamming her into the wall, and she's pregnant with my younger brother. I didn't know it was my younger brother. She was pregnant at the time. It just happened to be that she was pregnant with my younger brother. And this man that just recently was beating me with the dog chain was now beating my mom, and all I could do was just curl up on this big orange couch and try to disappear. I didn't want him to see me, because I didn't want his aggression to be turned towards me. I mean, obviously I didn't want his aggression towards my mom, but I didn't want his aggression towards me either. But also, part of me didn't really care. That day was a good day, and I was allowed to sit in the front room and not have anything bad, but I didn't really care that much, because, my mom would burn me with cigarettes and yell at me and tell me what a piece of shit I was, and a part of me kind of feels like she deserved that. In this time, this is also when I started developing, well, not developing, but when I started wetting the bed, and pooping in my pants, and my family blamed it on me. They wanted to, they just told me that I was lazy and all that stuff, and made me feel really bad about it, and nobody talked to me about it. Just made me feel bad, made me start wearing diapers, and that just made me resent them more. So I started doing all of that stuff even more. But ultimately, the reason why I was wetting the bed and stuff wasn't because I was lazy, because up till that point I would go to the bathroom like a normal kid. I'd get out of bed, go to the bathroom. I mean, maybe have the occasional accident, but never an every day, every night thing. But after all the abuse and torment started, then I was wetting the bed every day. And that's why I was afraid to come out of my house. The wetting the bed lasted until I was 14, somewhere in the neighborhood of 14. And it was all because I was so afraid to come out of my house, to come out of my room. I was safe in my room. I did stop, pooping in my pants, but I used to, when I was hiding underneath the house in the crawl space under the house, I would shit in one corner of the house and hang out in the other corner. That way I was away from the shit. Because with all the neighborhood kids teasing me and all that, being underneath the house was my one safe spot. I also want to share real quickly, with all that bad stuff, like I said, there's also good that happened. And I remember my mom had a friend who was an islander. I'm not sure what island he came from. I'm not even positive if he was actually an islander, but he had a nickname. He went by the name Pineapple, and that'll probably be the only name that I ever actually say. But he went by the nickname of Pineapple because he either was or looked like he was an islander. One afternoon I remember him bringing me a big plastic toy car, yellow car. And it was one that you could sit in and ride. It didn't have a steering wheel. It had these two black handles that you would push or pull up or down the side that would turn the wheels in the front. And I remember that because every time Pineapple came around, I was safe, at least for the time being, and I had somebody who treated me very nice. So it was always nice to have Pineapple come over. My mom and the rest of my family didn't do anything special just because Pineapple was there, but they wouldn't hurt me in front of Pineapple. A part of me believes Pineapple only came over to hang out with me. So, along with all these bad stories of bullying and being teased by my family and burnt by my mom and stuff, there's a positive, there's the first positive story of me having a hero. I looked at Pineapple as a superhero. He was a really big, tall and big, strong looking guy with long hair. And I just felt safe every time he was around. And after that first trauma, me feeling safe was a rarity. Pineapple didn't even hang out, stick around for very long. I think he was only a friend of my mom's for a few months at most. And I don't know what happened. So there's video. I think this is video number 4. There's video number 4.